doing my best to make you part of us is the rest.
Right, so today we're going to watch a video from REdacted about Biden to create new federal agency to track
you could be marked
pretty
with
much everything you do
behavioral
online.
codes by the U.S. government based on
probably
your
already do,
social media if this
but-
new bill is passed. It would create a federal government that has full access to police and control every website. I am not kidding. Literally every single one. Not only that, the government would create a new federal agency that is online police. They could launch investigations and fine you based on what you say. And it is not like the FBI where if they accuse you of something, you get your day in court. No, their word on your online behavior would be final.
This is unbelievable.
Now,
it is a bit unbelievable because, like, probably even if people would sign in, they would say, "Oh, what?" Not that part. I think they try to, like, in bills, they add up stuff that's just like ridiculous, so that they're like, "Yeah, well, we passed the bill, but we changed everything that was not okay with it." It's like I think they know in advance that they push it too far. So that's why we get stuff like that. Because, I mean, they're not going to skip, like, the justice system suddenly. Well, I mean, they got ways, I'm pretty sure. It depends. And if you got money, you can always go have less chances of being convicted and everything, but whatever. So, yeah, I think, well, let's look at the rest of the bill. I'm sure there's a lot of things in there that would be, like, over 50%. People will want or something.
I know this sounds scary, and this is one of those segments where I'm going to show you bits of the bill that I think are concerning. I know that doesn't always make for amazing television, and Clayton will lecture me later about screenshots of bills. But anyway, I think we need to educate ourselves about this, and we absolutely should tell our representatives what we think of it. So hold on tight. Mm-hmm. I know I've already lost you at new federal agency because federal agencies did not have a good week last week. Really. With the Durham report, with the FBI whistleblowers,
CIA.
With new revelations that the FBI has been using 9/11 powers to survey Americans.
Oh, obviously.
Over almost 300,000 times last week. That was revealed. They did it themselves. And they said, "Oh, that's not in the rules." We got confused about the Justice Department emails. So, okay, here's what this is. This is from the Digital Platform Commission Act of 2023. Came out from these two Democratic senators, Colorado Senator Michael Bennet,
reasonable oversight,
and also Vermont Senator Peter Welch. Now, what they're couching this as is a need for AI regulation. We've talked about this a lot. You know, tech giants are sort of warning that AI is going to run away from us too fast and then take over in short order. But is that what this bill is? It's not.
That's an excuse.
It's not that at all. AI is barely mentioned in this bill other than a cautionary tale. What it does is give the...
That's kind of like when they wanted to ban TikTok, but the only reason was just because they didn't control the spying information on it. And they were trying to say, like, oh, China's doing it. And they probably are doing it. I mean, it belongs to Tencent. And I think they report everything to the Chinese Communist Party. It's I don't think any big company in China can escape that, and TikTok also. But it's still, I mean, they know that they can't really do anything. Like, they can't go into another country and, like, change their laws and everything. They can, like, do it economically and try to, like, stop dealing. But yeah, who's going to stop dealing with China? But whatever. So that, like, the TikTok was the excuse. It was, like, barely mentioned in the bill. At least it didn't pass, I guess, or maybe it just wasn't voted yet. I haven't heard actually about it. Well, maybe one day.
The government full access to every social media and website that operates inside the United States. I'm not kidding. Look at the jurisdiction. Yeah. That's how they
most of them
define it, is basically, any digital platform.
Any digital platform, the services of which originate or are received within the United States. So they get access to overseas.
Yes.
As well.
If Americans access it, or it can be accessed in the United States, that's their business. What they would call this is the Federal Digital Platform Commission. Federal Digital Platform Commission. It's like the
you can still have your website, internet. I guess.
Here's what their job would be, and it's 7 things that they lay out. They would access digital platform for civic engagement, they say.
Yeah, of course.
Access to government services and public safety.
Can't say no to that.
Competition to encourage the creation of new online services. Prevention of harmful levels of concentration of private power. Okay, put a pin in that one. That sounds a little concerning. That means they don't want private individuals to basically have any power to have a website and then use that power.
You think so? Right.
Number 5, a robust and competitive marketplace of ID.
Wait. A harmful level of concentration of private power over critical digital infrastructure. Well, that means they want individuals to have power over the critical digital. Well, I don't know. Is it about individuals? About like critical digital? I don't know. I don't think she read it right. It sounds actually like as if it's an anti-monopoly for digital infrastructure, so that it would like ban. Now that it's well, if I read it, it sounds like they would ban like Google from owning that much from Facebook or Twitter becoming the everything app. Or maybe that's just to like put it like in to stop an everything app coming from Elon Musk, I guess. I don't know.
Yes, with a diversity of view. Yes, the government really wants diversity of view. Can we go to the next one?
Diversity
please?
of
number 6, protection
of everything
for consumers,
but opinions,
including communities of color and underserved population, from deceptive, unfair, unjust, unreasonable, or abusive practices committed by digital platforms. And number 7, assurance that the algorithmic process of digital platforms are fair, transparent, and safe.
Oh,
wait, that one concerns me a lot.
Why?
Who just laughed? Go ahead.
David fell out of his chair.
I think it's actually a good idea.
Because they use these terms that are subjective. It's like, and it just leaves it open for interpretation, however they want to interpret those words.
That's true.
And I always say that if you're going to go after people that cause fear, you have to do it to the least common denominator, the weakest among us.
Yes.
Because nobody can be hurt. And that just drives me insane.
Right. And so think about this idea of marginalized communities, right? And then if you can make the point that, let's say, me saying any words that makes you think, oh, this might not be fair, might be then flipped on its head and called hate speech and then downranked. I mean, I'm going to make this point
I didn't see
later
anything
about
in the bill
how COVID behavior would have and could have been downranked, that kind of thing. So again, right away, we need to be wary that the government wants to access all digital platforms, but says, don't worry, we're doing this for civic engagement. Raise your hand if you believe that.
And they're already
and if we play this
having
out,
these types of access. They're just trying to legalize it because now it's done covertly with the NSA, FBI, CIA, and stuff like that. And I think they're already doing it with everybody. They're like it's just metadata. They don't look at it. Nobody's like looking specifically at what you're doing like right now, or it could happen. It would be kind of like rare or useless because I mean it's a waste of time. But if ever there's a situation where you get power, where you go off track, where they want to have something on you. They want to know you. They want to see how you reacted on everything, and so that's why they always pick up the data, and they probably store it. They store it. Everything like that you do online is stored somewhere. Either by IP address, maybe it's not directly linked to you. They would it's linked with IP addresses or MAC addresses if they can figure them out. And if they need to, they can just search, build up a case, and find what you've wrote online for I don't know how many years since MySpace. Since I started my first music MySpace, they could probably figure that one out. I'm not telling you.
Out a little, like we have platforms like we're streaming right now on Rumble, which have refused to censor topics such as COVID, elections, gender ideology, you name it.
That's so
this bill would give the government a driver's license inside of Rumble. And Rumble couldn't say then, well, we don't want to downrank
because
this
it's a platform.
Conversation. We don't want to censor this conversation. They would have no choice. Twitter. We've shown how through the Twitter files, the government
even
agencies
Reddit
could be just slip into Twitter's DMs
it's like
and
a
say,
platform,
censor
a forum
that person,
platform.
block that person, cancel that person, right? But now, because of Elon Musk, that had to be stopped. Well, this bill is one way to take that power back and just completely be in the driver's seat. Now, the senators say they want this because of these reasons. They say that, they need to make sure that digital platforms are not undercutting small business, abetting the collapse of trusted local journalism. They're worried, right, that online social media is abetting the collapse of trusted local journalism. So they're choosing what is true.
Yeah.
Right? And who gets to
it's like
speak.
the trusted.
They're going to tell us these journalists are deemed. This is like Canada all over again.
Yes.
So
they
Canadian
did that, something like that here.
Will make you register to be deemed a government selected journalist, basically. Right. If you're part of like Rebel News or somebody else, you're not a deemed journalist. You're not a trusted source.
They go to the source and they try to do real journalism.
Where there's like a riot or there's something happening in your town and people take to Twitter and they're posting videos of like what they're seeing out their window. They're like, look what's happening. What's happening in my town? And they could shut that down. They could literally come in and shut that down. And at the same time, they could then be turning to these trusted sources to disseminate fake news. Sure,
but we don't need that hypothetical because we've already been through the COVID pandemic where discussion of certain therapeutics that are proven were downranked and disallowed.
Blocked.
Where vaccine hesitancy was also downranked and disallowed.
Even
right?
4 times we were banned on this channel, on YouTube specifically.
No mainstream media was willing to ask tough questions about the vaccine, and they were all then trusted, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
That's how you gain trust.
I was just going to say really quick, and the importance of like actual medical doctors with medical degrees were silenced. Like that's the biggest part of it.
That's how you know who's telling the truth.
And so those weren't the experts. So they're going to pick journalists.
They never silence people that have like nothing good to say or just things that aren't verifiable. Well, barely. They don't silence what is not dangerous to their power. So it's like, like when people's tongues were cut off even back then, it's because they had something to say that was dangerous to the person that cut his tongue. I mean, so you can't trust a tongue cutter. You just can't.
That are the experts over doctors.
Yeah, they're going to pick Taylor Lorenz. Like we've deemed Taylor Lorenz.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Your specialist, Jake Tapper.
No, I was going to say that basically, like it's getting what they're saying is that like if you won't willingly join us, then we will block you. It's like basically they only want journalists that will put them on the payroll.
It's a pretty good idea for what they're doing.
And so like this it's like it's just a thinly veiled way of just trying to take out independent media. So thin.
Yeah, it's very transparent. Let's go back to those reasons now. Number C, some of the reasons they think that we need this. They need to make sure that addiction and other harms to mental.
Or get a sponsor. If ever, I really like this drink. Okay. Be willing to drink more if you paid me to drink some more of Rise. Sure.
Mental health are not exploited, disseminating disinformation and hate speech. They want to take that on, undermining privacy and monetizing the personal data of U.S. citizens without informed consent, and in some cases, radicalizing individuals to violence. And then the last one was development of increasingly powerful algorithmic processes for communications. This AI. One, leave on the screen for a little bit so that our audience can read this to themselves, because this one's pretty laughable. They're saying the algorithm could surface conversations such as, let's say, gender critical thought or actual discussions of COVID therapeutics, and the government could not suppress it because, the algorithm. So the government is saying they mistrust the algorithm and they need to take that power back. Like, they already mistrust the algorithm. Raise awareness about topics that are good for you. Let the government do it. Yeah. And who exactly
let them inoculate you?
Right.
Yeah. Who exactly appoints this commission? Who's then going to be the one who chooses, who knows how to like manipulate the algorithm for our best interest? The president. The commission shall be composed of 5 commissioners appointed by the president. So absolutely, this will be a political hire.
Jack Klugman in our chat says he'll be named the central scrutinizer.
Yeah.
The central scrutinizer.
I don't remember if that's the name of
basically.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I was just gonna say. So we're basically what they're proposing is putting a bunch of like 81-year-old guys that don't understand how Facebook works or whatever.
No, they don't work. They don't really work.
Direct messages. They're going to put those people in charge.
They
of
pay
an
somebody
AI algorithm
else to think
YouTube
and work for them.
Like
that level.
Backfiring.
They just say whatever.
I suppose, although when you think of political appointees to these types of, heads of these commissions, you're not going to get someone like Edward Snowden who's like, this is maybe an infringement on civil liberties. You're going to get someone who's like, all right, I'm all in. Let's, tell them what they can talk about.
Yes
Let's do it.
They're already there in their position because they were yes men for all their lives.
So you get that yes person, not necessarily the most qualified or the smartest that would be able to do it. You just get somebody that's willing to do what they want.
And gets drunk on that power.
In any agency. Yeah, exactly.
Yes. You get a Yoel Roth, basically. If you read the Twitter files and you're going along with the Twitter files, think of this as a Yoel Roth who's just like, absolutely, let's shut down conversation because the government told us to. Now, what is it that this commission will be working on? Well, they're going to be coding your behavior. The commission will establish a code council that will develop these standards and behavioral codes. Take a look at how technical standards and behavioral codes. So let's say that you're doing something they don't like. Let's say you, for instance, are against school closures during the pandemic. That behavior would be coded and removed from the algorithm or purposely downranked. Of course, Google already does this. We know this. So does Twitter, so does Facebook. But this would be the government doing it directly. Google and Facebook have only done this because the government's asked them to. Now the government wouldn't even have to. It's taking out the middleman of social media.
Yes.
In order to do this, the agency would have full access to social media platforms, their managers, and all of their data. Take a look at this investigative authority that they want to give themselves. Basically, we can go into the management, we can go into all your data. What's yours is ours. No more subpoena through the FBI. We just take it. You have to give it to us. Now, if anyone is found to not be working along with this agency or doing bad,
that part's going to pass.
Unlike the FBI, they don't even have to have basically the right to issue a charge, classification, regulation, issue an order concluding an investigation, and then that order is final. Then they assess a fine, and you have to pay that fine. You can appeal to the District Court of Appeals, or your Attorney General can challenge an order, but that's assuming you have a lot of money and power. For the most part, you're kind of on the hook for this behavior unless you shell out the money for a federal appeal or get the attention of your Attorney General. They also can order you to cease and desist certain behavior and establish a civil penalty for civil behavior, which I assume means jail time. I mean, think of this, right? If you're speaking out against school closures and they tell you need to stop doing that because we think it's unsafe. I mean, they easily made the argument that school was unsafe. Yeah. And so if you say, no, it's bad for kids to be out of school, they can say, you saying that is making children unsafe. You want kids to die of COVID. So we're going to put you in jail. Is what I assume establish a civil penalty means. It's not written out here, but why not give themselves that? Because this is a kitchen sink kind of bill. And here's how much it will cost American taxpayer dollars to approve of this online Gestapo. $100 billion for the first year.
Wait,
and it just goes up from there.
No, it's 100 million.
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
My glasses. And then just more and more each year in the first 5 consecutive years.
Wow.
So I think that this is a bone-chilling piece of legislation.
Strange you don't need more like money to start it up.
Wholeheartedly reject it. I would like to invite you to read the bill for yourself and see what you think about it, and let your representative know whether you like it or you don't. because, I don't know how much this has a chance to pass in this divided Congress, but as long as this is out here,
it's gonna be
when
like,
Democrats take power, they will pass something like this unless we tell them not
Republicans,
to.
Some of them.
The problem I see with this bill is it's really easy to create a boogeyman out of AI, because that's an easy thing to get both sides on board with, because they think Terminator. They think that's the narrative. Here's the boogeyman. We all have to fight the boogeyman. So any of them that are in the same place, Democrats or Republicans,
but the genie's out of the box.
And then you'll have
they can't stop AI now.
That may fight it, but I just see them being on board with that just because that's an easy narrative to spin.
It's a consolidation of power, and both Democrats and Republicans love that. Consolidation of power so that the big tech firms get more power.
Because
they control more of the government. They absolutely, they'll pretend, Republicans will play lip service to the fact that they
because when they're going to be in power or have the people that they want there,
they end up voting for these COVID
it's still good for them.
They end up voting for these COVID restrictions. They end up voting for greater power at the government level.
Yeah, why
and
not?
Small businesses get squeezed and individual citizens get squeezed out. So they both parties love this kind of stuff. This was created by Democrats,
politicians in general.
There will be people on
they can vote more power to them.
Huge, support this very, very much. Let us know your thoughts on this in the chat.
Wait, let Philip say something.
The common population.
I was just going to say, how is this? So it seems to me that this shouldn't be a bill, and it's really not a bill. This is a constitutional amendment. Because this is directly overriding. This is the government retaliating on free speech. This would be rewriting the First Amendment. Yeah, and that's very specific on what it says. The government can't do that. It cannot retaliate against free speech.
Yeah, how can you not have due process? Like, you can't go through a court. You're just going to get a fine. They're just going to literally come after you and fine you for your speech.
Plus civil penalties. Yeah. Which, again, I'm assuming means jail time. Can you put up the first screen?
It sounds like that, like jail time for if you said something online that didn't fit with their idea.
I mean, I don't know if they're going to
really go after people directly for that.
How they can, inform themselves about it. There was a link in today's newsletter.
If you're a danger,
this is
they
the
can
name
use
of the bill, the Digital Platform Commission Act of 2023. And yes, read up on it and tell me what you think. If you have a different read on it and you think that this is benevolent and I've got it wrong, I would love to hear it.
Well, totally benevolent. Our government is nothing but benevolent. Thank you so much for watching this segment.
No, I mean, they try to make it look like it's benevolent. Obviously, there's some parts. I mean, they kind of make sense, but I'm more libertarian about that, especially online. I think people should be able to do what they do and pretty much say what they say. If it gets to a point where it's like hate speech, it's just like it's just a concept. It's not really something that's a big danger, because when it skips that, when it becomes like more of a danger, then there's already like legal measures for that. We don't need additional online measures. Once it goes over the online, that's when it becomes dangerous. So I think like in most things will weed themselves out, except if you implant government agents in every hate groups out there. I'm pretty sure you can manage to make them last longer, which is, I think it's a good thing for them, because they know like where that type of energy flows, and they already like pretty much control it. Like I'm pretty sure like every like hate group out there, maybe they be the Proud Boys or whatever, if they are real, but they have people that have infiltrated their ranks, and they try to make it said either that they pose no danger to the real power, or that they know what they're going to do. So I think that's why they maybe like astroturf these types of movement, because it helps them focalize their energies, so that no other like groups like that may rise or become more important, because there are issues where like certain groups could make a coalition, and they would feel like if they were hate because they just hate the system, which would be just a normal thing to think about these days, especially. Well, I mean, always a little bit. Even in the history, there was never a perfect time. So I think it's always good there's people pushing back against powers